Good evening and welcome to the April 15th, 2025 regular meeting of Findlay City Council. We will start this evening's meeting with roll call.
Mr. Ballman?
Here.
Mr. DeArmond?
Here.
Ms. Frischi?
Here.
Mr. Greeno?
Here.
Mr. Hellman?
Here.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Here.
Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Mr. Russell?
Here.
Ms. Warnicki?
Here.
And Mr. Wopser?
Present.
Will you all stand for a pledge of allegiance followed by a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We will entertain a motion to accept the previous minutes. Mr. Baumann, second Mr. Palmer, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. They are accepted. Mr. Russell, do we have any add-ons, replacements, or removals from tonight's agenda?
No, sir.
Thank you. We have no proclamations, petitions. We do have some oral communications, though, will come under the resolution that is being discussed. We have no written written communications. We have no utility contractor communications. We will then start with reports of municipal officers and departments.
Findlay Police Departmental Activities Report for March 2025.
Questions or comments? Report to be filed.
City Income Tax Monthly Collections Report for March 2025.
Questions or comments? Report to be filed.
Findlay Fire Department Activities Report for March 2025.
Questions or comments? Report to be filed.
Treasurer's Reconciliation Report of March 31st, 2025.
Questions or comments? Report to be filed.
Summary Financial Reports for March 31st, 2025.
Questions or comments? Report to be filed.
Precipitation and Reservoir Levels Report for first quarter of 2025, which is January through March.
Questions or comments? Report to be filed.
Letter from Police Captain Hendren regarding Ohio Traffic Safety Office Summer Holiday Enforcement Program Grant.
Questions or comments? Letter to be filed.
A letter from Ward 4 Councilman DeArmond, at-large Councilman Greeno, at-large Councilman Russell, Ward 3 Councilwoman Warnicki, and at-large Councilman Wopser regarding Findlay City School District 1% earned income tax on May ballot.
Mr. DeArmond.
Request the letter be read.
Second, Mr. Baumann. All those in favor that the letter be read, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The letter will be read.
The Findlay City School District has placed 1% earned income tax on the May ballot. This income tax will support district operations. Passage will reverse some of the $6 million in operational cuts currently being implemented by the Findlay City Schools and prevent further cuts starting in 2026. Strong schools are a foundational element of a healthy and thriving community. The city of Findlay may have world-class infrastructure, streets, utilities, parks, and provide best-in-class police and fire services, but without strong schools, the city's future will be bleak. After all, nobody ever moved to a city because they had great sewers, but every day people who have a choice decide where to live based upon the quality of the schools. Simply put, the city of Findlay has a vested interest in the success of Findlay City Schools. As goes the Findlay City Schools, so goes the city of Findlay, our common interest in our community. For these reasons, we are asking that Findlay City Council voice their support for the passage of the 1% earned income tax to support the continued operations of Findlay City Schools.
Questions or comments? Letter be filed.
Letter from City Engineer Kalb regarding water treatment plant generator replacement, project number 35725-300.
Questions or comments? Ms. Frischi.
Can we read that letter into the minutes, please, since we're asking for additional?
Second, Mr. Palmer. All those in favor of the that this be read, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Should we do a roll? Our hands?
I don't. How about the nays? Raise your hands.
It's additional, it says it's additional funds.
So, 3, looks like 4 nay, 5,
Okay.
so half.
For the second time that I've been council president, I get to break the tie. All right? And I vote that we read this into the record because I feel that's fair. Who said well? Shut up. I'm good at this.
I'll say thank you.
Jeez, I get no respect.
Put him on vacation world.
The City of Findlay has been working with a couple of contractors to complete the generator project of the water treatment plant. The project was sent out for public bid earlier this year, but we received 0 bids for the project. Since that point, we have been requesting quotes from contractors to continue on with the project. There are funds currently being appropriated in the second capital appropriation to remove the backfill an existing underground tank and to perform some of the generator pad. At this time, it is desired to appropriate additional funds to the project so that when a contractor is selected, we will be able to start the project as soon as possible. The city currently has all of the equipment that is needed for the project, so we will be working with the contractor to complete the project as soon as possible. By copy of this letter, the law director is requested to prepare the necessary legislation to appropriate as follows. From Water Fund, $330,000 to Water Treatment Plant Generator Replacement, project number 357-25300, $330,000. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me.
Questions or comments? Letter be filed.
Letter from City Engineer Calb regarding Western Avenue Sanitary Sewer Repair, project number 356-44700.
Questions or comments? Letter be filed.
Board of Zoning Appeals minutes for March 13th, 2025.
Questions or comments? Minutes to be filed.
A letter from City Engineer Calb regarding West and Lima Sanitary Sewer Repair, project number 356-43200.
Questions or comments? Letter to be filed. We have no committee reports. We will then start with legislation.
First reading for Resolution 13, 2025. A resolution supporting the proposed 1% earned income tax levy for the Findlay City School District and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Russell.
Move for adoption of Resolution 013-2025.
Second, Mr. Baumann. Before we vote, we'll have comments from the public. There are 3 that submitted communication forms. The first one is Randy Otterman. Randy, please stand. State your address, and you got 4 minutes.
My name is Randy Odermott. I live at 724 6th Street in the 4th Ward. I think all of you know that I'm also a candidate for at-large in the primary coming up next month. And I do not feel that the city council should take a position on the school tax. Am I for the city schools? Absolutely. Do I feel that it should be endorsed by the council? No. I wonder if you would be taking this same stance if you had to face the voters in 3 weeks. To me, it's outside of your realm. Everyone will agree that good schools are vital to a community's success, but spending more does not equal better, and the voters of this district will have to decide whether or not this is the way to achieve that success. I've been asked my opinion on this issue many times while campaigning. And the candidates who attended the Apartment Owners Association meeting last Tuesday were asked flat out, school tax, yes or no? Tonight, you are asking each council member the same question, and that is wrong. By not saying yes, it implies you do not support the schools. I believe that I can speak for any council person tonight and the candidates who said no last week, that not one of them feels that way. I've already voted, and I'm not going to tell you which way I voted. I have 3 grandchildren who graduated from Findlay High School in 2020. Yes, that makes them triplets. They were all honors students who went on to graduate from college last year. I feel very confident in the education that they received at Findlay High School. One of them had 3 years in FFE and graduated at the time of the infamous instigation that occurred a few years back. There are a large number of people in this community who will never forget what happened to Kevin Manley. I believe the school board and administration need to be able to show the voters that they are doing their best to eliminate needless administrators and questionable programs. It should then be up to the voters to decide if they agree, and not for city council to put a plug in for the school tax. Thank you.
Questions to Mr. Ottoman? Thank you, Randy. Second is Wanda Fruth. Rhonda, please restate your name and your address. Thank you.
I'm Wanda Wirtz-Fruth. I live in Ward 3, Warrington Avenue. Oh. You were elected, City Council, you were elected to represent the citizens of Findlay. Those citizens already voted against this very tax in November 2024. That was only 6 months ago. What has changed other than the will of council to override the people's decision? Many of you represent a community that voted overwhelmingly for President Donald Trump. The president has made it clear that he opposes funding schools that promote DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion agendas. Yet, the Findlay City Schools strategic plan specifically outlines a commitment to DEI. If you support this tax, you are supporting an agenda that goes against both the will of your voters and the stated policies of the president that they overwhelmingly supported. And if we talk about consistency, when council voted to lift the moratorium on recreational marijuana dispensaries, you justified it by saying a majority of Ohioans voted in favor of issue 2. You claimed it was your duty to respect the outcome of a statewide vote. Yet when a majority of Findlay citizens voted against this income tax, you felt justified in pushing it again anyway. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot say we have to follow the vote when it supports your goals, but then ignore the people when they say no. If you support this 1% income tax, the public's rejection, despite the ideological concerns, then yes, you are being hypocritical. Worse yet, you are going against the will of the people that you were elected to serve. Thank you.
Questions? Thank you. Our third speaker this evening is Renee LaGuire. Renee, please state your name and your address, and you've got 4 minutes.
Renee LaGuire, 148 Larkin Street, here in Findlay, Ohio. Thank you, City Council. I'm speaking to express my deep concern over your public support for the Findlay City Schools 1% income tax, particularly those of you who claim to represent Republican, conservative, or fiscally responsible values. Let's be absolutely clear about what you are doing. You are promoting a permanent income tax increase on working families in Findlay, and the money will go directly to fund a school district whose strategic plan openly prioritizes DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda. This is not speculation. This is a matter of public record. According to the Findlay City Schools Strategic Plan, Objective number 2, the district is committed to creating an environment of belonging by educating staff and students in DEI-aligned practices, celebrating evolving global diversity, and implementing staff training centers on identity and emotional needs. These are the exact kinds of initiatives that have become lightning rods in national politics, promoting identity over merit and politics over academics. Why then are you asking Findlay Republicans to bankroll the very agenda through increased taxation? Let's be honest. If a Democrat proposed this same tax for these same purposes, every conservative in this city would be up in arms. But now, because it's being pushed by local Republicans, we're expected to fall in line and quietly fund DEI-driven bureaucracy that voters rejected just 6 months ago. That isn't fiscal responsibility. It's a betrayal of principle. It's big government progressivism hiding behind an elephant lapel pin. And let's not forget, you've already ignored the will of the voters once. In November 2024, the people of Findlay said no to this tax. Yet here you are, dragging it back onto the ballot just months later, hoping people are too tired to notice. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot claim to support conservative values while endorsing higher taxes to fund leftist education reforms. You cannot wave the Trump flag during campaign season and then turn around and promote policies that he has publicly condemned. This is not about being for the kids. It's about political consistency. It's about respecting the will of the voters. It's about not using your office to push an agenda the people of Findlay already said they don't want to fund. So I ask each of you, are you standing with your constituents? I checked the record, and in my district, my ward, 54% of the voters in Ward 4, Mr. DeArmond, who I asked to resign 2 weeks ago, voted against this tax. So we currently have an administration that is out of proportion to the number of students. Parents have been pulling their children out of the Findlay City schools and either homeschooling or putting them elsewhere. I think that parents need to know that that academics are not being taught like they should. And anyone that wants to find out what's really going on in the public school system, I highly recommend Indoctrinating Our Children to Death, Government Schools' War on Faith, Family, and Freedom, and How to Stop It by Alex Newman. Michael D.
Sorry, it's 4 minutes.
Okay. Any questions?
I'm sorry, that's my job. Any questions? Mr. Niemeyer.
I'll make a motion to leave her finish.
I can second
Second,
that if
Mr.
she
Greeno.
wants
All those in favor of allowing to wrap up her comments, say aye. Aye. All right, there you go, Renee.
All right, thank you. The book is endorsed by General Michael Flynn. He said, an absolute must-read for anyone concerned about the future of America. We must always be fearless for our children, and we must now stand with courage to protect their future. Do your part and read this book now. Pete Hegseth, Alex Newman's book, brings out critical information on the history of the U.S. education system that must be broadly understood by Americans. If we are going to turn our country around, we must address these issues now, and this book is a great start. So I highly recommend it. The public school system is not broken. It is turning out exactly what it was supposed to by John Dewey and Horace Mann, and that's it's indoctrinating our children into Marxism. So Thank you very much.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, thank you, Renee. That concludes our public comments. Any comments from council? Questions or comments? Ms. Frischie?
The citizens of Findlay want great schools that produce highly successful students in academic and trades. I want our community to have great schools because great schools are important to the future of Findlay. Right now, the community is divided on how to get Findlay City Schools back to greatness. Some feel more money is the simple answer, and some feel it's time to clean house and start fresh with new leadership that has a plan to achieve greatness, not just address the expenses without the results. The citizens voted last November, 52.29% said no to the proposed 1% income tax for Findlay City Schools. The issue is on the ballot again for the May primary. Findlay City Schools is asking exactly the same thing that the community said no to 6 months ago. They didn't show the taxpayers they were listening. They didn't go back to the drawing board and cut their ask to work on earning the trust of the community. Over the weekend, I spoke with a citizen who shared he had a child under the age of 10 who tested gifted in several areas. He received a letter from the schools confirming this, but the letter went on to say, "We don't have teachers or programming that can help your student. By law, we must inform you. This is a problem. This is a big problem. We should have a strong gifted academic program in our schools. We should be teaching up to all of our students and not just meeting them where they're at. We can't only be great in art, music, and athletics. We need to be great across the board." It's interesting that last November, no city council member requested legislation to endorse the Findlay City School income tax. Now that there is a contested city council race, there is a sudden desire for a resolution by 4 members who are not even running for re-election and one who thinks he's the grand poobah leader of council. Am I surprised? No. My personal vote and any other voting citizen's vote on May 6th is no one's business but their own. If a member of council chooses to support an issue on the ballot publicly, I think that's great. Do it on your own lawn or at your business, not in council chambers to play political games. Over the years, I have personally rolled up my sleeves and supported our schools. I helped a large group of parents address serious concerns to Findlay City School Administration and the school board during COVID to stop the implementation of DEI. I have been the mom that supported the teachers when my kids were in school by volunteering my time in the classroom. I served on PTO. I was one of those band moms in middle school and high school. I recently spoke to a high school class about the job of a council person in city government. Looking back to our strategic planning process for the city of Findlay, we said that we want to maintain a low city income tax. Endorsing the Findlay City School levy goes against what we said because we would be doubling our city income tax. This resolution will not be what sways the people to vote yes. Our citizens are smart, and I respect their vote at the ballot box May 6th, whatever the outcome might be. This evening, I will be voting no on the resolution because I support my ward, and in November, they voted 1,275 times no for the levy.
Other comments? Ms. Russell?
Couple of items in fall of 2018, Resolution 025-2018 passed 9-1. That was a resolution in support of the school tax for security. So there's precedence to have this support. This is obviously an issue that affects the community that we're elected to serve. And that is why I affixed my name to that letter, saying that it's worthy of us to voice our opinion. Findlay Council did not put this tax on the ballot. That's Findlay City School Board. Our vote doesn't implement the tax. That's the citizens of Findlay. One of the folks that spoke asked what's changed since November. Well, for one, $6 million of cuts have started. Ward 1 Councilwoman mentions that there's no folks to do education for gifted students. I'm not sure how not giving more or not providing adequate funds to the schools is going to help remedy that situation. I think the opposite is going to happen as the school district moves towards a state minimum educational requirements. We won't have gifted education. We won't have extracurricular and arts and athletics. We'll be doing the bare basics. I'd like to close this with, I'm going to quote a letter to the editor in the Courier written last week, or appeared last week, by a citizen who has their children in Findlay City Schools, Megan Purser, because she wrote it better than I could ever hope to say it. But she concluded, "This levy is not just an investment in education. It is an investment in the future of our community. A strong, well-funded school system directly impacts property values, supports local businesses, and creates a more vibrant and connected community. The success of our students today is the foundation for a thriving Findlay tomorrow." I could not agree more.
Other questions from council? So, Mr. Baumann.
I guess I would just like to add, I'll be brief here. I concur with my colleagues and the sentiments of their letter. I applaud Councilman Russell for his comments. But simply put, as a father of a fifth grader at Chamberlain Hill, I will vote yes on this resolution because I believe in continued investment in our schools, our kids, and our community's future. Thank you.
Ms. Frischie, do you still have a response?
I just wanted it to be on the record that Councilman Russell's wife is on Findlay City School Board.
Mr. Russell.
So implied in that is a question of, am I conflicted? Do I have a conflict because my wife and I send our two children through Findlay City Schools, kindergarten through high school graduation, where they received outstanding educations that prepared them for successful college and now post-college careers? Do I have a conflict because my wife and I own a house in Findlay which more than likely will suffer declining property values if the Findlay City Schools are not supported at a level necessary for them not just to survive but to thrive? Do I have a conflict because my wife and I use services provided by our local medical community, both doctors and our hospital, a community which will suffer increasingly difficult times recruiting the outstanding professionals that the entire community depends upon? Do I have a conflict because my wife, who is an elected volunteer serving unpaid on Findlay City Council School Board, a nonprofit organization like many of the nonprofit pillars of our community, from the Historical Museum to the YMCA, the University of Findlay, Boy Scouts, Habitat for Humanity, Hope House, Marathon Center for Performing Arts, Rotary, and Kiwanis, and the list goes on, all of which and more have been supported by members of Findlay City Council during my tenure. Yes, I am conflicted because I care deeply about my community. I will be voting on this resolution, and I will be voting in support of this resolution.
Any other comments? Mr. Hellman.
If I may. My name did not appear on that letter, but I do support.
You want to use your microphone a little better there? Thank you.
How's that?
Yep.
Thank you. But I do support the levy. My position is solely voiced as a former economic development professional and a former urban planner and a current Hancock County citizen and voter. An effective school system is key for economic growth, for economic stability, and the development of any community, to not only attract new businesses, but also to retain the existing businesses that are here. And if that isn't the case, you begin to lose businesses, you begin to lose individuals that help make this a wonderful community. As a grandfather, I count on a reliable school system to ensure the progeny are equipped to have critical thinking and problem-solving skills so that they can contribute to society as a business owner, as an employer, homeowner, and taxpayer. I encourage my fellow citizens to seek out the facts about the need for this levy, available through the school's website, and cast a vote of support for not only our local schools, but also for the future success of our community. I think it's critical. In my past career, I've seen it happen in many places where the school systems, parks, recreation, you name it, it is vital that the schools are sound. It is tantamount to the success of a community. So I will be voting in favor of this.
Other
Thank you.
questions? As I requested earlier, we'd rather not have any outbursts. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, at this point in time, we're going to take a roll vote on the resolution. Go ahead.
Mr. Baumann?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Nay.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Abstain.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
And Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
So it's 8 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention. The resolution is adopted. All right, we're going to move on to, so at that point in time, that seemed to be what everybody's here for. If that concludes any of that, you're welcome to leave now, or you're welcome to stay till the end of the meeting. We do not have any other oral communication
Not
at the
sick.
end, a request to speak. So I thank everybody, and please get out and vote.
From the what? Okay. The what? You should have asked Sprague.
Okay, let's move on to ordinances.
Third reading for ordinance 2025-32, and ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to advertise for bids where required and enter into contracts for construction of various projects in accordance with the 2025 department equipment list, appropriating and transferring funds for said capital expenditures, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Greeno.
Move for adoption of ordinance number 2025-032.
Second, Ms. Warnicki. Discussion? All those in favor of the ordinance say aye. If your name's called, those opposed, nay.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
And Mr. Baumann.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
Third reading for ordinance, I can't talk tonight. Ordinance 2025-34 as amended, and ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Baumann.
Move for adoption of ordinance number 2025-034 as amended.
Second, Mr. DeArmond. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the ordinance say aye if your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye. Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Baumann?
Aye.
And Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
Second reading for ordinance 2025-35, and ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency. Second reading for ordinance 2025-36, and ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to enter into contracts with Arcadius U.S. Incorporated for the Water Master Plan Project Number 357-43400, appropriating funds thereto and declaring an emergency. Second reading for ordinance 2025-37, and ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency. Second, I just lost my place. Second reading for ordinance 2025-39, and ordinance amending municipal code section 505.001 of the codified ordinances of the city of Findlay, Ohio, entitled Definitions. Second reading for ordinance 2025-40, and ordinance amending municipal code section 505.01 of the codified ordinances of the city of Findlay, Ohio, entitled Dogs and Other Animals Running at Large. Second reading for ordinance 2025-42, and ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to apply for and execute the necessary grant applications and agreements to receive grant funds from the Federal Aviation Administration for the FDY Airport Master Plan Project Number 35243500, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Palmer.
The deadline for this application is before our next meeting. Therefore, I move that council's statutory rules be suspended and this ordinance be given its third reading.
Second, Mr. Baumann. All those in favor of suspension of the rules say aye if your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Greeno? Aye. Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Baumann?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
And Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
The rules of council have been suspended, and the clerk will give us its third reading.
Ordinance 2025-42.
Mr. Palmer.
Move that ordinance number 2025-042 be adopted.
Second, Mr. Baumann. Discussion. Ms. Frishy.
Just for clarification, this grant application is good for the community and it's costing us $0, correct, Rob? Rob Martin.
5%. That is not correct. It is good.
missing?
It's valuable to the community also, but it is a 95.5% match.
There you go. I
So,
didn't see
and
on
it
that.
comes out to be about approximately $27,000 out of the city to support the 95% of $520-some thousand for this 20-year master plan.
All those in favor of the ordinance say aye if your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Hellman? Can I say anything?
I just
or no?
clarification,
It's
it
the
doesn't say it in
third.
the ordinance. Does
It's
it
the
need
third
to?
whereas.
So we suspended the rules, and now, and that was approved.
Oh, there it is, I see it.
Thank you.
It also was in the capital plan booklet in
Yeah,
the
I
original
just thought it-
communication,
No, we're fine.
standard
Okay.
copy.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Baumann?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Yes.
And Mr.
aye.
Greeno.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
First reading for ordinance 2025-43, an ordinance authorizing the service safety director of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to apply for grant funds and enter into a grant agreement with the Ohio Traffic Safety Office in order to receive funds for the FFY 2026 Summer Holiday Enforcement Program to be utilized by the City of Findlay Police Department and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Russell.
As this grant does not require a match, and I believe we've used this in the past and had a lot of success with this program. I move that council's statutory rules be suspended and this ordinance be given its second and third reading.
Second, Mr. Wobser. All those in favor of suspension of the rules, say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Niemeyer.
Aye.
Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Mr. Russell.
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki.
Aye.
Mr. Wobser.
Aye.
Mr. Ballman.
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
Ms. Frishy.
Aye.
Mr. Greeno.
Aye.
Mr. Hellman.
Aye.
Rules of council have been suspended. The clerk will give this ordinance its second and third reading.
Ordinance 2025-43. Ordinance 2025-43.
Mr. Wobser.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, Mr. Greeno. Discussion. All those in favor of the ordinance, say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Mr. Russell.
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki.
Aye.
Mr. Wobser.
Aye.
Mr. Ballman.
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
Ms. Frishy.
Aye.
Mr. Greeno.
Aye.
Mr. Hellman.
Aye.
And Mr. Niemeyer.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
First reading for ordinance 2025-44, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-45, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-46, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency.
Old business. New business. Mr. DeArmond.
So Councilor Warnicki and I would like to request legislation to revise our investment policy. So there's two reasons for the request. It was recently brought, the first is, it was recently brought to City Council's attention that the Ohio Revised Code, Section 135.01, says the governing body over our investments is the legislative body, which is City Council. That was new information to us, and now we need to take action around our process to manage the investment portfolio. Secondly, it was recently brought to Council's attention that we actually have an investment policy. The policy was written 29 years ago and buried in the archives. So the policy states it's to be reviewed annually. Since City Council is the governing body, City Council needs to initiate a review. So our objective in making this request is fivefold. So number one, we want to remain compliant with the Ohio Revised Code to meet the city's operational liquidity needs and maximize return on our investments. Number two is for council to have a basic understanding of our investments and options. Number three is for council to give some governance over the investments on a regular basis. Four is to improve transparency and communication. And five is to improve the financial reporting around our investments. So the first paragraph of the City of Findlay investment policy currently says, in quote, "This document in conjunction with the Ohio Revised Code as amended will govern the investments and investment activities of the City of Findlay. It will be reviewed annually for compliance and to ensure the flexibility necessary to effectively manage the investment portfolio." So Councilor Warnicki and I would like to request the legislation to amend the second sentence to say, quote, "The investment policy will be reviewed annually by the Appropriations Committee with a recommendation to full council." We request the legislation be written without emergency language. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Stashak.
I was glad I got a chance to talk to Mr. Feiner a little bit right before the meeting and learned that this was going to come about tonight. And I don't think that's a bad idea to add that language, but your statement is misleading and incorrect. The policy is reviewed annually. It's reviewed by the state annually. It's reviewed by the state auditors who come in. As a matter of fact, the auditors, when they come in, review every single investment that we have in place and report out that they are properly done and accounted. That's been done year after year after year per state law that you're referring to. So I think it's great if council wants to have a hand in that. But secondly, I want to make sure that everybody knows, although that policy was written many years ago, it's a good standing policy. It's tied directly to our operations budget projections. In other words, that policy is a 2-year policy, and it doesn't go beyond 2 years in terms of the allowable period for investments, because you don't know how much money you're going to spend in year 3, 4, 25 because you don't project it. The other thing that I want to make sure this body understands, there are a lot of good things in the policy. Every single broker that bids on our investment is required to acknowledge that they're aware of that policy, and they do. So everything's being followed to the letter, and I think you guys all know that's done. That's being inferred here. But there is another one, and I think the administration, as well as the law director, our new director of law, might be aware, and council. Just recently, you had a city council person ask if they were allowed to impact rates when we talked about water and sewer, and was told clearly that's the purvey of the administrators. Policy is the purvey of the administrators. I think this is a good idea. As one of the administrators who will sign any new policy we do, I would probably be in favor of adding that language and some other language they have in mind that would enhance what we're doing. But if you guys do that, which would be your right to do, I think you've just opened the door and gone against the prior director of law's ruling that policy is the purveyor of the administrators. So give it some thought, think about what you do, and I'll look forward to the request for legislation changing the rates as it was done on, I believe it was our sewer side by Councilwoman Frishy, because if that passes, I think you're going to give her the right to do that, which you may or may not want to do. Again, good ideas, appreciate where you're going. I think that's something to think about, but let's keep in our lanes, and let's keep the information where it needs to be, and let's keep policy where it should go. The policy that's in place was signed by Steve Welton, our treasurer at the time, Janet Wobster, our auditor at the time, and our director of law, Dave Hackenberg. 3 highly qualified, strong professionals that knew what they were doing and had the foresight in following 135 to know by being cautious and very conservative in policy that they wrote that our investments would be safe for years. I think they can be proud of the work they did.
Okay, Ms. Frishy.
Mayor, at the last meeting, you said you were working on getting a de-appropriation together. I know we didn't see it in this council packet. Are we gonna take that to a committee? Or are you just gonna present something at the next meeting? Where are you at?
I'll just bring it directly to council. The department heads are going through. Obviously, once a month completes, there's a bit of a closure process that takes place, and so I didn't want to rush through and try to get it on this meeting agenda. I'm hoping to have it at the next meeting, as well as an updated financial summary report that kind of better shows the insight of where we are. Obviously, I'll also then probably include some information about April performance, because obviously, as we talked about, our revenue and expenses, they're not just a linear straight across. Looking at the variability from month to month, especially when April is our largest month of collections, I think will provide us a better insight into where things are at. I did, before the meeting tonight, print off a little bit of information just in the detail. I keep reports on all of the different departments and funds that we track, looking at month to month. On the revenue side, tying back, so the 6.79 million in revenue for the general fund only. So far, year to date, looking at those general revenue codes, which are the kind of large chunks of money that come in, our real property tax collections just through March is 51% of target already. The trailer tax, we're at about 45%. Hotel motel tax is about 22%. And this is just, again, saying year to date compared to the total annual. County revenue, local government, and state are both at 26, 25. DFID payment is at 100%. Our interest earnings in that line item are at 59% of goal. We've collected about $533,000 of the $900,000 budget. So our revenues are coming in strong. The operations transfer from income tax into general fund is at about 3.3 million, or 14%. Typically, again, the auditor kind of moves those throughout to manage the cash flow into the general fund. But our collections are coming in well. So I'm hoping that next month the department heads, they've already been sending me some thoughts on where they think. But again, it's really difficult because our line items, it's not like, oh, hey, we just have padding here. As we go through, it's a little bit of money kind of in all the incremental lines so that they have cushion to manage the operations. And I don't want them to de-appropriate just for the sake of de-appropriating and then get themselves in a pickle where we're trying to call an emergency meeting to pay a bill or get a repair done. So we have a couple of bills that our departments have paid, and it's a one-time or twice a year they now have more insight into what that looks like. So we'll have a couple, and again, we'll just kind of do it throughout the year as we get more detail.
Mr. Stashak?
To add on to a point there, but for the benefit of council's knowledge, and I commented on this in our last meeting, I believe, with regard to water and sewer. Whenever you're doing performance, you don't want to say that that performance doesn't cash flow at any point. So you should have good cash flow throughout the entire projection period. I'm in the process of doing what's called an MD&A, write-up on economic factors and information that was used in forecasting the budget for 2025. And we are putting out there, and will be putting out there in our annual financial statements, that we are deficit spending and have been deficit spending. So it's going to be very much on the record, very public. So there would be some advantage to continuing to deappropriate money as you go through the year, to allow us to have an answer when we get questions, or if we would get questions with regard to not only those management comments, but about the strength of the city being evaluated by pitch. So food for thought. There's a lot of value to it. And with regard to the revenues, I will address all the revenues in the mid-year review this year. We're going to have a pretty thorough mid-year review. It's going to cover a lot of things that we cover, a few additional items. And like, for example, a couple of those things like real estate. Real estate better be at 50% right now, because you only get 2 checks, and we're at 51%. So right on, we're where we need to be. But there are some others that are behind, some others that are ahead based on how the cash flow. Not just April is your big month on your income tax. And we talked about this clear back in 2010 when the city did a temporary tax. October is a huge month. That's when the business will come in. So you got two big months and a lot of hopeful, strong months in between. But it's odd the way it comes in, but we deal with it. It's government. So good luck, folks.
Mayor?
Yeah, I agree and understand the auditor's point. Just one other item, because you do have the Q3. I just want to remind you on the monthly report that the auditor provides, that general fund revenue and expenses projection. You can see the starting unappropriated cash balance of $26.194 million. That's about $5 million higher starting point than what the auditor had provided on that projection report at the budget hearing. So we are closely watching that and obviously managing those expenses. So we'll continue to give better insight into that. But again, those numbers are always shifting.
Is this to a specific question? If not, we're going to move on. Okay, Mr. Stashak?
That's apples and oranges. You don't want to use that budget number when you're using the snapshot. The numbers you're using are a difference between accounting methods. In some cases, we're using cash for budgeting projections, and others we're using the accruals. The final numbers are accrual-based, and so there's some information there. I appreciate where you're going with that, though. The important point to make when we're talking about our cash starting balances, it was more than $5 million less than the prior year, which causes us to be a deficit spend, whether that be because of CARES Act money or extra spending we did or what's going on. The snapshot is a very specific budget year look. Do not compare it to prior years, and do not compare it to the finance book. We need to keep those things separate.
I'm sure we all look forward to your mid-year budget report. And not tonight, maybe mid-year. Other new business. I have one. I just want to remind everybody that our next meeting will be Wednesday, May 7th, due to the fact that Tuesday is an election. So I want to remind everybody, both council and in the audience. Mayor, one last comment?
Yep, just a couple of quick items. So just want to give a shout out to the team on managing the storm recovery. We were very fortunate that we didn't see as significant of rain, but we did see about 3.5 inches over that storm. And we definitely saw the benching provide a great impact. So I just want to continue to reiterate the benefit that provides in a 100-year storm event. The hydraulic projections of that alone is about a 1/2 foot impact in a flood event. In the smaller storm events, you see even additional impact. So we did get some drone footage of that we'll be sharing, just showing the benching being used. But as we continue to march forward on flood mitigation, the combined impact of all 5 of those projects, from the transportation corridor improvements, Norfolk Southern Railroad Bridge, Phase 1, Phase 2 benching, and the basin, we expect that that will provide about a 3-foot benefit in flood events. So critical work that we're continuing to push. So want to give a shout out to our teams and all the work, but certainly continue to reiterate the importance of flood mitigation. And as we continue to get more data, at some point the hydraulic forecasts will get better. At the moment, they still are conservative as they don't have enough data points to really give a very clear. I know our team is out watching and probably does a slightly better job than maybe the federal government on that one. Additionally, I want to give a shout out to our teams. Friday, we had the train fatality, obviously a terrible situation with a life lost. Our team did a wonderful job responding and managing that situation, which was really difficult. So just continue to keep them in your thoughts and prayers when you respond to traumatic incidents. It's really hard on your mental health. We do a lot to support our team members, and that work is really critical, but really grateful for the professionalism and the caring individuals that we have serving our community. And in the law enforcement vein, I just want to give a shout out to Sheriff Cortez. You know, we've been very fortunate with Sheriff Heldman previously, but certainly Sheriff Cortez. We have, as you've probably seen in the news, the metric team and the sheriff's office and the Findlay police have been out fighting crime day and night. And we always say we want to publicize that if you come to Findlay or Hancock County and commit a crime, we're going to catch you. You're going to do your time. And so our teams have been working really hard to continue to take bad guys off the street. And I'm grateful for those partnerships and that collaboration, both within the city and our teams helping support the county to do good work. So appreciate everybody's time and support for continued investment in our employees.
Mr. Russell.
Make a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss a legal matter and also potential property acquisition. Upon conclusion of the executive session, no further business will be held at this meeting. So that is a motion.
Second, Mr. Wobser. All those in favor of adjourning into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. We'll adjourn. That concludes our public portion of the meeting, and no other business will happen when we're done.